Yuuto was a supposedly cringy boy who was perfecting his edgelord project, a summoning circle. As he gazed at his craft in wonder, the narrator explained that he was doing this because he suffered from cringe syndrome, aka 8th grader syndrome. The narrator comments that most people want to forget this part of their life, but not everyone, as Yuuto's summoning circle began to glow and fill the room with light. From within the summoning circle, a girl rose up, seeming to be unconscious. As Yuuto looked on with amazement, the girl with the dragon tail and horn awoke with a piercing glare. Yuuto was still baffled by the apparition, not sure what was happening or who this girl was. Yuuto then began to race through his mind, questioning why his drawing that was supposed to be just something cool had actually worked. As he stared on at his unexpected visitor, he questioned if she'll be friendly or not. As he thought this, the dragon girl, Mumu, growled out a question. Human. While her withering glare caused his soul to shudder in fear. But then Mumu began to cry uncontrollably, repeating the word human in a more choked up voice. While Mumu was crying and repeating that Yuuto is a human over and over, he just stood there, stunned, as he didn't know how to handle the situation. Finally getting the courage to speak, Yuuto asked if Mumu was okay, only to be smacked with Mumu's intense aura that surrounded her in a protective shell. Falling to her knees, Mumu rhetorically questioned that Yuuto was a good person, and added that she's never met a nice human before. However, Yuuto interrupted her, asking the obvious question, who was she? Mumu was surprised to hear the question, but managed to gather herself and her confidence, and announced that she was called Morivatom Chaos Mutophilia, I'm not saying that shit again, and she was sealed away for 3,000 years for reasons. With even more intense energy, she announced that her freedom was thanks to Yuuto, and she's actually an evil dragon. However, Yuuto wasn't impressed and barely reacted, simply questioning that she's an evil dragon. Then she's dangerous, right? As Mumu was awkwardly waiting for Yuuto to react, she blushed from the embarrassment. Deciding that announcing that she was dangerous would impress Yuuto, she did just that, and announced it with confidence. But she got the opposite reaction than she expected, as Yuuto instantly bowed and begged for his life, causing Mumu to question what's wrong as she didn't expect this. Still bowing, Yuuto explained to Mumu that he didn't mean to summon her, as he didn't expect anything to happen, shocking Mumu. Mumu refused to believe Yuuto, explaining that the summoning circle he had made was perfect, so of course he did this on purpose. But Yuuto broke her, as he told her that the summoning circle was just a drawing he did, and her summoning was merely an accident. Mumu then repeated what Yuuto said, asking for clarification. Yuuto, apologetically, said that it was the truth, so if she wants to return to where she came from, she's free to do so. Mumu was silent for a while, before exploding with horror and sorrow, refusing to go back from whence she came. Mumu called Yuuto heartless and declared that she'd never return to her isolation, even if she had to sacrifice half of herself to stay, she'll do so. She explained that 3,000 years of isolation was torture, the darkness, the loneliness, it was awful, but Yuuto saved her from it all. Clutching onto Yuuto, she was finally able to meet a human again, a nice one, and it was all thanks to him. It was the first time Yuuto saw someone cry, plead, and beg for their life, so of course he couldn't say no, and he told Mumu to stay. With hope in her eyes, she asked if Yuuto was being truthful, before hugging him and saying that Yuuto really was a good person. Mumu, now in a cheerful mood, announced that she could fulfill any wish the summoner desires. Yuuto told Mumu to wait and let him think of something, but she told him that she can help speed up the process. Reaching her hand out to Yuuto's chest, Mumu told him that she can listen directly to his soul to hear his true desire. Within Yuuto's soul, he stood there as if nothing changed, while a flaming dragon approached him. Yuuto was intimidated by Mumu's dragon form, stumbling back from the sheer intimidation radiating from her. Mumu, in a deep, growling voice, announced that this form was just a mere projection of her true form. Towering over him, Mumu reiterated her question: what is Yuuto's wish, his true desire? Mumu continued to bombard Yuuto with questions about what his wish was, causing him to become overwhelmed and beginning to experience something. The feeling was excruciating, and Yuuto thought he wasn't long for this world, before seeing his life flashing in front of his eyes, leading to the same question that Mumu asked: what does he actually want? It then hit him, and he told Mumu exactly what he wanted. A friend. He wanted nothing more than a friend, someone to be there for him, to enjoy life with, to laugh, to experience everything with. Almost in tears, Yuuto declared the sad truth: he's just always been so alone. Looking up, Yuuto saw that he was back in his home, white walls around him, and Mumu standing there back in her human form. Mumu began to speak and then cry, admitting that she completely understood and related to Yuuto. She felt the same and still feels it, in fact. Mumu then began to ramble, saying that she's felt the same for 3,000 years and how she's tried her best to not be lonely, but to no avail. Mumu then grabbed Yuuto's hand and said that it may surprise Yuuto, but she'll grant his wish, and she'll grant it quick, and she'll make it happen ASAP. How she'll grant his wish is simple, really. Mumu will be friends with Yuuto. Yuuto was surprised that Mumu meant that she'll be his friend when she claimed that she'd grant his wish. Mumu held onto Yuuto's hands and happily bounced up and down, her tail wagging almost like it was a dog's. She asked Yuuto if her idea was good and how this was the best way to give him what he wanted. Yuuto looked on awkwardly, but realized he couldn't refuse the adorable Mumu, and agreed to be friends with her, much to Mumu's delight, as she yelled out in joy.